Wait, before we get started, I want to thank you for your initiative, drive, and willingness to help yourself by clicking on this video. That is the first step to getting rid of your lower back pain. So congratulations. Hi, I'm Sam, and this is Sam the PT. Today we are going over my top 5 exercises for lower back pain relief. But stay tuned to the end of the video to hear education on lower back injuries and how to prevent them from even happening. Lower back pain may be one of the most common injuries or pains that I see. It ranges from the ache you get when you sit too long to that sharp shooting pain that takes your breath away. The exercises I'm going to show you are good for both types of back pain and everything in between. And this video is sponsored by nobody. So be sure to like, subscribe, and share this video with anyone you know who may have lower back pain. Or, you know those people who just look like they're having a bad time? Share it with them too. Let's get going. The first exercise we're gonna go over is a way to self-massage your low back. So I'm gonna be using a lacrosse ball today. You can also use a tennis ball, it's a little bit softer. So if the lacrosse ball is too intense for you, try the tennis ball. So all you're gonna do is take the ball and put it against a wall here and lean into the wall. All right, so from here, you're gonna wanna make sure you are not on your bone. So avoid your spine down the middle and avoid your hip bones here as well, okay? So you're gonna find the muscly areas on the side of your spine and put the ball right where it's sore. You can go up and down, you can go side to side a little bit, or you can just hold it right on that painful spot. It's gonna be pretty intense at first, but in about 30 to 60 seconds, the pain should start to dissipate, and that's how you know it's working. If you're just doing a massage and kind of rolling up and down, you wanna do about 1 to 2 minutes of this. You can't really hurt yourself doing this, but you can do too much to the point where it just feels sore and bruisey. Next, we are going to stretch those low back muscles, the lumbar paraspinals, and also the quadratus lumborum, all the muscles that can get tight on the back that we just massaged out. So what I'm going to use today is just my stair banister here, but you can use a kitchen sink or anything that you can hang back on without it falling over or you losing your balance. So I'm going to grab on here, and what you want to do is walk your feet nice and close to the front of that so that you can hang back on it. So if you're too far back, you're just going to be in a squatted position. So walk the feet nice and forward and hang back, rounding your hips under. So I like to tell people, think of if you had a tail, you're kind of tucking your tail under. So you're gonna lean back, and I'm starting to feel a stretch in my low back here. I'm gonna hold for 5 seconds, and then to really get a good stretch on each side, now I'm gonna point my feet to the right. So I'm kind of windshield wiping my feet to the right here. And then I'm gonna sit straight back. And so what this did is this created a little bit more of a stretch on my right side. So when your feet are pointed to the right, you should feel it more on the right. And after a 5-second hold, now I'm gonna point my feet to the left. So twisting my hips just a little bit and then sitting back straight. Now I feel it pretty strong on my left side. So from here, I'll hold 5 seconds again. And after that, you would start over and go through the whole process 5 times. The next stretch is the hip flexor stretch. Again, I talk about this one a lot because it is so important and so helpful for many, many different injuries and pains. So for this one, all you need to do is find an elevated surface. I'm using this chair here, but you can also use a staircase if you have stairs at home. So you're gonna put one foot up onto this elevated surface, making sure your back foot is pointed straight. We don't want it pointing out. So it should be straight, or if anything, a little bit toed in to get a bigger stretch in that hip flexor. So from here, you are going to just lunge forward, making sure to tuck your hips under, and that is gonna lengthen that hip flexor muscle in the front here. And I feel a really good stretch. So from here, I'm gonna hold for 5 seconds, and then to get a different angle, after that, I can rotate to the right for 5 seconds, and then I can rotate to the left for 5 seconds. And this is where the stairs would be helpful because then you would have something to hold on to. So after that, you're gonna go through that 5 times and then switch legs. And same thing here, really making sure to tuck the hips under, lunging forward. I feel a really strong stretch in the front of that back leg. 5 seconds forward, 5 seconds to the right, and 5 seconds to the left. The last stretch we're going to do here is for our hamstrings. So the hamstrings can get really tight and they can actually pull our pelvis and our hips into different positions. And so the way we're going to stretch this, same as the hip flexor, we're going to use a chair for an elevated surface. Again, you can use the stairs, that would work just fine. So put your leg up onto something elevated in front, and from here, now you want to round forward in your hips and not your low back. So what I mean by that is if I go down through my low back, you can see how far I can go and I still don't feel a stretch. From here, you want to go forward with the hips. I'm feeling a pretty strong hamstring stretch here already, so I'm going to hold that for 5 seconds. And then just like the other stretches, I'm going to go to the left for 5 seconds. And here I feel a little bit more of an inner thigh stretch. And then I'm going to go to the right for 5 seconds. And this one is much stronger, a little bit uncomfortable, so don't push it, but I feel a little bit more on the outside of my hamstring. Something else I want you to keep in mind is I like to tell people to keep their foot pointed down. If you point your foot up, that's going to increase what's called neural tension. So in this position with my foot up, I feel almost like a calf stretch and it goes to the bottom of my foot. That's stretching something else. So for the purpose of this one, I want you to keep your foot down so you can really focus on the hamstring stretch. And our last exercise for this video is going to be a hip mobility exercise. All right, so how we're going to do this one is by putting one foot in front of the other. Now the reason we're going to do this is because this is a position that we look like every time we take a step when we're walking throughout our day. So one foot in front of the other, it doesn't matter which because you're going to do both. So from here, you want to make sure your feet are pointed straight, not toed out, not toed in, and all you're going to do is shift your hips side to side. It seems pretty simple, but again, this is a hip motion that a lot of people lack when they go to take a step when they're walking throughout their day. So all we're doing here is breaking it down and allowing you to focus on this motion. This is a great exercise to do if you have one of those muscle spasms and it feels hard or scary to move. So instead of moving your back, you just want to shift your hips lightly side to side, just staying in that comfort zone right there. Okay, so after 10 times, you're going to switch sides and perform it the other way. A really common compensation that I see is people going through their low backs. Can you see the difference there? So I really want you to keep your trunk upright and just let your hips do the work for you. Shifting side to side, going as far out as you can comfortably, and 10 times on each side. Try these stretches twice a day for at least a week and come back to comment how you feel. So now let's get into the education. The muscles of the lower back, mainly the lumbar paraspinals and the quadratus lumborum, are susceptible to pain if they are too short and tight or if they are put on a constant or quick stretch. That's why it hurts when you sit in one position for too long. Sitting with your hips tucked under lengthens the lower back muscles, while sitting too rocked forward shortens them. It's important to get up about once every hour in order to reduce over-tightening and straining these muscles. But another way to help is to check your seated pelvic positioning. And so what you can do is take those two first fingers and you're going to place your hands on your hips and the fingers go right on the front of those hip bones. So you want to make sure that when you find those hip bones, your fingers are not tucked into your thighs here, so that would be too rocked forward. But you also want to make sure that you're not too tucked under to where the fingers are pointed up, more so at the ceiling. So you're going to rock forward and back until you find a neutral position where your fingers are facing straight forwards. And that is going to be the good position for you to sit in. Another common cause of pain is the old twist, bend, lift, and yikes. That pain happens because you asked your muscles to do something that they were not flexible or strong enough to do. That sharp pain is caused by a muscle spasm, and the body actually does this as a protective mechanism. When you quickly stretch your muscle too fast, the brain recognizes this and says, whoa, if we go any further, this muscle is going to tear. We have to do something. So what your body does is forcefully contracts to prevent the excessive stretch. This is known as a muscle spasm, and they can be extremely painful. If you get one of these muscle spasms, try the lacrosse ball exercise first. That's what I would do for my patients. Lower back pain does not have to rule your life. and I really hope I was able to show you something helpful today. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share this video with anyone you know who may have lower back pain. Thank you for your support, and leave a comment with suggestions for future videos you'd like me to cover. See you guys next time.